All right, I don't think a crash is going to happen in 2023, and I will explain why, and then I'm going to tell you what I think will happen in the year to come. You would think that because I've been creating a lot of content about getting foreclosure business from banks, that I would be predicting an imminent crash. I have been a bit bearish on real estate going back to the middle of the pandemic. In the big picture, I felt a major crash or correction was unavoidable. How can you stop commerce around the world for as long as we did and not have economic consequences? Governments stepped in and gave out free money and cheap money in the form of low interest rates and forgivable loans. That set the housing market on fire. It helped business in the short term. As usual though, government intervention creates other problems. That problem is inflation, and the remedy for that is higher interest rates, it seems to be. That in turn is taking its toll on demand. But you know, I'm a bit of a contrarian. Everybody that talks about real estate here on YouTube is predicting a crash. It creates clicks and gets attention to the point where it's becoming nauseating. Because so many people are talking about a crash now, I think it may not happen, at least not right away. There are plenty of valid arguments as to why there won't be a crash, and I've been listening to them. The one I seem to hear the most is there's a lot of money on the sidelines waiting to take advantage of a correction. That will supposedly fill the demand gap and prevent a complete collapse. This argument makes some sense to me. One caveat is, at what point does this smart money step in? I can remember in 2008 and 9, nobody wanted to grab a falling knife. Another valid argument is there's a ton of equity out there. This is undeniable. According to this report, average equity is over $300,000 per home. That means very few homeowners are underwater, so there are going to be fewer forced sales like foreclosures and short sales. In addition, there are a lot of homeowners that are kind of trapped in a home with a very low interest rate. For them to move would be very expensive. They would have to give up a low interest rate, and this will impact supply. All real estate is local. Some parts of the country will be more volatile than the others. Here in South Florida, we're still technically in a seller's market. Inventory is still quite low. By my calculation, we have about 4 months of inventory at the end of 2022. Here's a chart from Redfin of median sales prices in Broward County. It peaked in July. It's come down from there, but it's still trending upward and will end the year 7% higher than the year before. Florida has seen more net migration increases than any other state. California and some northeastern states are seeing net decreases in population. If a crash happens anywhere, it could be in these states with even greater demand problems. Then there's unemployment. Everybody who wants to work seems to have a job these days. I don't think the housing market declines drastically without job losses first. Part of what the Fed is trying to do with higher interest rates, aside from wrecking the housing market, is to soften the job market. And I think they could succeed eventually. Ironically, housing-related jobs are in trouble. With fewer sales, there are fewer homes being built, fewer construction jobs, fewer loans, fewer title policies being written, fewer appraisals, and so on. We aren't in a 2008 moment today. It is true we have tighter lending standards now, and subprime loans were mostly what led to the last crash. There was, however, a period in our history where we printed a lot of money and had relatively low interest rates that led to rampant speculation. That was the late 1920s. Before I tell you what I think will happen, please take a moment and hit that like button or subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out a lot. I appreciate it. What do I think will happen? I think Q1 of 2023 will be a lot like Q4 of 2022. Less buyer demand, but no huge increases in inventory. Sellers and buyers will step back and watch what happens. Sellers, I think, will be reluctant to list in a low demand market, along with the other reasons I've stated. Q2, I think, will be the test. As the traditional selling season across the country begins, where will interest rates be? Will demand bounce back? I think everything depends on the Fed action on interest rates. Some folks are betting on a pivot from the Fed. I'm not that certain it will happen in 2023. Having said all this, I think most predictions are garbage. I think any forecast beyond the first half of the year, you need to take with a grain of salt. We are obsessed with predictions about the future because there's so much uncertainty. I think that is going to continue for many more months. I spend a lot of time watching and tracking what's happening in the MLS and public records, the news and elsewhere, and I suggest you do the same, and you won't be surprised by any changes. The probability of a crash isn't zero. I think there's a reasonable chance of more pain to come in the later part of 2023 and beyond. I'm not convinced we're going to get a so-called soft landing and things will return to a normal market again. There are so many strange cross currents going on at the moment. I'm not sweating it though. I've been through tough markets and I'm prepared for whatever the markets throw at us. Keep watching here and you will be too. What do you think? I would love to hear your feedback and your own predictions. Please leave them in the comments section. I'm Tom Day. Thanks for watching.